Jack Reacher is known as a super strong, super smart, violent drifter. He gets into a lot of fights and has never lost one. Throughout the first 3 seasons of the show, Reacher has a specific style of fighting that can be boiled down mainly to 4 key pillars of how he's able to win every fight. And season 4 just came out, so it's a good time to display my favorite fight scenes over the series and how his character fights, starting with the very first fight scene in the entire show. So in this scene, Reacher's in this prison cell with this nerdy dude who starts getting bullied by this larger inmate. The bully takes his shoes, breaks his glasses, and then starts to do some very classic prison stuff. Reacher hops off the top bunk and enters like a superhero. Just right off the bat, the first pillar of Reacher's character is that he's big as all get out. Even in front of this dude's belly, Reacher is taller and wider. But I want to emphasize, people tend to throw away any techniques he uses because of his size. Reacher always wins because he's massive. I'll prove you wrong later in this movie. The moves he uses are not exclusive to his size. Reacher tells this bully to leave or his friends can carry his
fat ass out in a bucket.
He's giving a warning. Reacher says, "I'll count to 3. 1, 2, and then instead of saying 3, on the beat of 3, he does a headbutt. Whoa! He slams the bully's head right against the metal bed frame and falls immediately with 3 elbows. This guy is slumped. The headbutt as a first move is a signature move for Reacher. This is the first of many, and elbows are absolutely devastating. Again, a first of many. So that was super quick. Reacher looks at the friends and says, "You owe us a pair of glasses." And then they walk out into the courtyard with the worst music of all time playing. They talk about stuff nobody cares about, and then Reacher heads to the bathroom. And this is where the main first fight of the show happens. But before anything happens, I want you to pay attention that when Reacher walks in, he scans the entire bathroom. He's clocking exits, he's getting the layout, he's gaining full environmental awareness. This is a huge habit to form, and I'll explain why a little later. So multiple guys walk in, and Reacher obviously clocks that there's trouble coming. These guys are told to walk out of the shower, and they're wearing no slippers or anything. That's a quick way to get athlete's foot. Reacher starts talking, and he tells them what's about to happen. He essentially saying, "You guys are going to lose." Again, he's giving a warning. This is the second pillar of his fighting style. For every single fight, Reacher will say something about what's about to happen. In these 2 fights, he counts to 3 after telling them they're about to get a beatdown. Now, I will say, he walks the talk. He does what he says he will do. He is dangerous. He never loses. However, sometimes the dialogue in this show, and by sometimes I mean all the time, is terrible.
You guys recycle? I want to throw you out of a helicopter. Why is it empty? Because I shot all the bullets.
Throughout all of it, the screenwriting is just awful. Anyway, so he starts to count to 3, but all he does is say 1 and immediately does a headbutt. Boom. Whoa! He tosses a tissue at the first guy. Reacher thinks he's Sherlock Holmes.
Discombobulate.
This prevents him from seeing the real strike incoming. He backfists this guy, wraps his left arm around this guy's punch, and delivers an uppercut, shoving him back. One of the guys has a shiv. Reacher blocks the knife with 2 points of contact, but he doesn't disarm the knife. Instead, he slams this guy's head on the sink and throws him into the next guy, using them against each other. Reacher palm strikes this guy in the face. Palm strikes are great. They can be better than punches, especially if you don't know how to punch properly. You won't break your knuckles, the radius bone is harder than the knuckles, and a palm strike to the nose like right here is devastating. It's the same principle as a headbutt to nose. Reacher kicks this guy on the ground, and this guy goes to stab Reacher, and he stops it and slams his head down. However, the way Reacher goes in with his right arm, he's turning his shoulders counterclockwise. If you could see it slowed down right here, he definitely would have gotten stabbed. So he should turn his shoulders clockwise to get off the line of the knife, and then use a counterclockwise windmill motion with his arm to redirect the knife's momentum. He kind of tries to do this, it's just executed wrong. Then he could place his hand above the bend of this guy's elbow. Above the bend makes the body turn. This would turn the attacker's whole body and open up their backside. From there, you could do a throat chop, a knee to the stomach, an elbow to the face, choke him out. All of these are available. But the main point is he needed to get off the line of sight for this knife, as well as redirect it way better than he did. Then Reacher takes his thumb and gouges this guy's eye out. Dude, perfect. In a life or death scenario, the eye gouge is always going to work. Unless you're a determined prisoner in the Punisher universe, an eye gouge is going to stop your opponent and make them make distance from you. This is such a smart move here. Now Reacher's attacking 3 dudes simultaneously. One guy catches Reacher's punch from behind and hooks him. Reacher takes a liver shot and then gives a knee to the balls and elbows behind. He takes this guy's arm and knees into the elbow. There's a bone break sound effect, but how this elbow is here, it wouldn't break it. But if the shoulder was rotated outward more, it would do some real damage. But the principle is correct, attacking the joint. He picks this guy up and uses his size and strength to ram him into the wall. Again, his size is a real advantage. He's strong. He can do more than someone who isn't as big as him. But as you can see, some of the moves already. Palm strike, eye gouge, elbow. It doesn't take his size exclusively for these moves to be effective. He knees this dude, then headbutts the guy behind him. And then he goes back and forth, and then this isn't a punch. This is a headbutt. He headbutts so hard, this dude got knocked back. Then Reacher stomps on this dude's ankle, breaking it. This is so smart. This is the third pillar of his fighting style. He uses practical moves. Reacher was in the army. His fighting style is practical and immediately effective. He uses headbutts all the time, elbows, palm strikes. He targets vulnerable areas like the eyes, the nose, joints, the groin. It's not flashy, it's just real damage and quick ending of the fight. Because with these techniques, fight scenes should be short. In a real scenario, just to get control of someone, you don't even need to fully break this dude's heel. You could do something like a heel hook.
What about a heel hook? An inverted heel hook?
Or apply pressure to the joint, bending it in the wrong way. Also, I didn't know they had vans in prison.
Damn, Daniel!
Then he rocks this dude with a hammer fist, and the fight's over. The police run in, Reacher gives them this look, the first of many, and the scene's over. So there's a bunch of things there, but the main points from that fight are that he uses practical moves, and before the fight starts, he lets them know what's about to happen in a very corny way. Now, Alan Richardson was heavily trained in jiu-jitsu and some MMA. He stated that he essentially had to unlearn his training for this role. He had to fight completely different. But luckily, it's worked out for him because I really like that fight scene and most of the fight scenes in the rest of the show. But this is a fight scene where Reacher was actually being attacked. But another good one is where he's actually in this restaurant coming to attack this guy in front of all these people. So Reacher walks in, sits down, and he starts eating fries. This guy named KJ is insulting him, and Reacher does nothing. He just stares. There's a whole lot you can do by just being silent. This guy's talking, he's yibber-yabbering, insult, insult, insult.
Look, it's the war criminal.
And Reacher's just looking at him. What silence does is it doesn't reveal your intentions. And when your intentions are unknown, people will fear it more than they fear explicit threats. He builds an aura through complete stillness and silence. It's just like the very opening of the show. A guy's yelling at his girlfriend, and Reacher just stares at him. The silence and the staring is the threat, and it works. Yes, it's a show, but in real life, silence is arguably a #1 intimidation tool. Again, in this scene, corny dialogue. This guy backs down like it won't happen again. Shut up. But here, Reacher only speaks whenever he's asked a question. He speaks when spoken to. This guy asked why Reacher got kicked off the football team, and Reacher says, for being too violent. Now, if he stayed silent after that, just a quick answer and then back to silence, it would have built more tension. Here's where he ruins it completely. He starts monologuing.
What kind of man are you?
What kind of guy are you?
An insecure, spoiled rich boy hiding behind daddy's money.
This guy's looking at him super weird. He's kind of freaking me out. This takes away the fear of the unknown. Again, he walks the talk. Yes, he wins the fight, but it totally ruins the intimidation factor. And the point overall is that this intimidation can help end fights before they even start. Because people are like, I don't know what this guy's capable of. I don't want to find out. And again, the dialogue. You don't know what it feels like when I hate you. This whole movie's dialogue is like a 12-year-old's daydream of his middle school bullies. It's like the director is living out a fantasy he hasn't let go of since he was a child.
She said the cream came from your mother. Probably because she's a big fat cow.
KJ leans in like an idiot and Reacher slaps him, and then the chaos just begins. He picks up the table sheet, throwing everything off of it, kicking the table at this guy. Reacher prepares a punch, then wraps the sheet around this head and elbows him twice. He loves to use the elbows. This guy charges at Reacher. Reacher knees him in the stomach and throws him down. He kicks the chair at the blonde dude, breaks a plate on this dude's face, backhands him, and then he catches this front kick. Reacher doesn't step back. He doesn't try to slip the kick. He does no redirection. He just tanks it. And this is where his size helps massively. This is a legit advantage. But again, I'm gonna keep repeating this. Being enormous means some things are way easier just with your strength and your size. But the moves he uses throughout these fights do not require his size to work. Here, he kicks the knee to drop the guy. You don't need a lot of strength because that's a joint. The knee is gonna buckle no matter how big you are. This guy grabs a knife and they just kind of stare at each other. And the fight ends there. Blonde dude says, "This ain't over."
Sucks so bad.
Again, super quick fight because he used moves that work very well. Using a plate like it's so hard, hitting this guy down at the knee, kicking the chair at this guy. Fights can't be long when you have move sets like this. And this is how it usually is in reality fights. One punch puts most people down, one joint lock gives you immediate control. So in the street, understanding these basics puts you ahead so much further already. Now, another one of my favorite fight scenes is the ATM scene in the beginning of the second season. Reacher's at a thrift store buying clothes.
$22.
What are you looking around for, bro? We're not gonna help you out, man. He heads out to an ATM, and a woman's at the ATM, and she's taking a long time. He notices a few things immediately. She has a bruise, her hands are bloody, her voice is shaky. He looks left and sees a big van parked nearby. All that together, he assembles a picture. She's being carjacked, and her kid's in the van. This is the fourth pillar of his character, his sapience. Sapience? What? Okay, by sapience, I mean his awareness and intelligence. And I know that's not exactly what sapience means, but he makes very intelligent decisions, and he's also hyper-aware. Just like in the prison scene, he scans every room he walks into. Not if there's a fight incoming, he scans every room regardless. He looks for the exits, he maps the layout, he reads situations before they escalate. He's super smart and super aware of what's going on. This right here of him noticing all these little details and piecing it together is a little bit like the Equalizer, except there's no cool animation when he starts paying attention. He confirms the situation with the lady. He says, "Stay here, this won't take long." He approaches the van. You can see this guy here wins the Greatest Posture Award of 2026. Wraps his jacket around his fist and then punches the window in. He grabs a gun, pulling it as far away from his body as possible. This guy has no strength anymore. He pushes it up, taking away the line of fire from being on anybody, especially himself, and then puts it over the side mirror, clamping it there. And you can see right here, his hand first grabs it with his pinky a little over the muzzle, or at least too close to it. And he adjusts first before he disarms it, because when he goes to disarm it, this gun could go off. And if his pinky's right there, you know, pretty sure you know what would happen. This is a great gun disarm scene. It checks all the boxes. He then clamps him against the door, slams the door on him 3 times, and boom, it's over. Again, that efficiency. He's done like that, super quickly. This kid's crying in the back, kind of looks like he's laughing. Reacher says, "Want to see your mom?" He's even corny to the kids. And as he's walking away, she's like, "Wait, who are you?" And he said something corny back, probably. But everything in this fight scene is just physics and timing and knowing what the correct things to do are. Nothing here required the insane amount of strength and size that Reacher had, except for breaking the window. This is more of an intelligent fight than a brawl of strength. And this argument people have about how Reacher is so big, that's how he wins every single fight, is what makes the final fight scene in season 3 my favorite fight scene, because Reacher's able to figure out a way to win a fight against a dude that's taller and way stronger and heavier than him. And in this fight, Reacher has to use his brain more than his strength to figure out how to win this fight. So this guy, Paulie, opens this door. This guy is kind of dead and he falls out. Paulie's like, "What in the world?" And Reacher's behind him and wraps a belt over his neck and starts to choke him out. It's a great first move. Deception, sneaking up, choking him out. The belt's giving him leverage. And remember, when choking someone out, it's not about suffocation, it's about the carotid artery. And when the carotid artery doesn't supply blood to the brain for 5 to 15 seconds, boom, you're out. But unfortunately, Paulie is super strong, and this would be a pretty lame fight if he got him right there. So he throws Reacher forward onto the ground. Paulie's able to get his hand on Reacher's head and holding it there. Reacher's trapped, limited options, and he goes for the one thing he can reach, Paulie's elbow, which knocks him down just for a second, enough for him to get up. That move right there is a target at the joint, which is a weak point in the body. Reacher gets on top and tries the belt choke again. Paulie slams him against the car door, using his size and strength, just like Reacher did in the prison fight scene. Then he grabs Reacher and throws him against the truck. He prevents Reacher from grabbing the gun on the ground. No guns. And he grabs Reacher by the hair, gives him a hard left hook. And this seems to break Reacher's nose. This is the first oh crap moment of this fight scene where Reacher's thinking, what have I done? What am I getting myself into? One punch and he's already broken my nose. I may be biting off more than I can chew. Paulie says, "We do this like men," referring to the gun, and Reacher agrees and then immediately kicks him in the balls. Paulie is way bigger, heavier, and stronger. And this is a life or death scenario, not a sparring match. When it comes to a life or death scenario, honor is thrown out the window. On any man at any size, getting hit in the balls is always painful. And Reacher goes for that because he knows it's a vulnerable area and he doesn't care about honor or fair play or whatever, because he could die here and he's at a disadvantage. He needs to take all that he can. They go punch for punch a little bit, then Reacher breaks the exchange by dodging twice. Paulie says, "This is going to be fun." Ooh.
Oh shit.
Reacher says, "Is that all you got, fatso?" Like Thor in Age of Ultron, where Paulie rips the boxing bag off of its chains and throws Reacher through a wall with the bag. You had to ask. this. Reacher picks up a wooden plank and throws it at Polly. Polly punches it away. That is a wooden plank, and he literally just punches it away. This is another oh crap moment in this scene. Like, what? He just punched that away. He takes 2 punches, catches a punch, and delivers one. He's still trying to go with the traditional route when he's outmatched by strength and size. A throat chop upward would be very effective here. When opponents are similar height and both of them know how to fight, usually your chin would be tucked, making it harder to do a throat chop. But Reacher is shorter here, so an upward throat chop is accessible. Polly headbutts him and it punches him here. If this is meant to be in the throat, Reacher's dead. That would break the trachea and he would die. But he seems good, so I guess Polly punched him in the chest. Polly grabs Reacher on the chest and Reacher holds his arms there, which is smart, so Polly doesn't escalate his hands to his throat. And just like the Punisher, Reacher hits the arms down. He catches a punch and delivers a left elbow. Not bad, better than a punch. Elbow's gonna do more damage, so he's getting there. Then here, I really like this combo. Punch to the stomach, punch to the lat area, then a hit to the back of the knee. He catches a punch, throwing it over his head and kneeing into the side of his knee. Okay, 2 hits at that knee. The back of the knee has the tibial nerve. If you want to try it right now, you can give a good whack to the back of your knee and you'll see what a blow to the tibial nerve does. Then, the LCL is on the outside of the knee, so a blow to the inside of the knee, LCL gone. It's so common in C-Lot, and it's why I love the raids so much. They target all the right areas. Not only that, it's more of an advantage for Reacher to go for the legs anyway. Since Polly's so tall, his legs are more accessible to him. After all that, Reacher elbows and punches him, then Polly just looks at him and smiles. Imagine hitting a rock and roll combo like that and he looks at you like this. This is the 3rd oh crap moment. Polly uppercuts, then throws Reacher through this wooden wall. Polly comes down at Reacher with a shovel. Reacher dodges twice. And look at where he's standing right here. He's standing at medium range. This is exactly where you get hurt with a melee weapon. When there's a melee weapon, you want to be very far away or very close, touching close. Medium range is exactly where you get hit. What Reacher should do is either run at Polly or create a lot of distance. Reacher instead catches it with his forearm, and look, sometimes in a dire situation, you just have to eat it and get a cast on your arm later. Reacher hits the head of the shovel into Polly's face. They go in a strength versus strength struggle for control, and who do you think is going to win this contest? Well, we don't actually get to find out because Polly headbutts the shovel handle. He breaks it clean. Look at Reacher's face. It's like, who am I fighting? What is going on? He just headbutted a shovel and broke it. Okay, now Polly has the staff and Reacher has the shovel head, and he's using it as a shield across his forearm, just like Rama with the baton. Reacher blocks the staff down, then hits Polly in the face with the shovel head twice. This is the first time Polly's face shows even a little bit of fear. Then he hits him again. Reacher is finally starting to level the playing field. He finally quit the punching. He quit doing all the normal stuff. This is a different ball game, so he has to use strategy to be able to win. Then Polly throws the shovel across the room, and this is another oh crap moment where Reacher genuinely gives that reaction. Then he gets punched. Polly throws Reacher down, gets on top, and starts choking him out. He picks him up and continues to choke him out. This is almost the exact same scenario as the Punisher. Polly's hands are occupied. Reacher can't get an effective punch off. What he could do here is knee to the groin, stomp the top of Polly's foot, scrape the shin, attack his knee. But what he does is actually the perfect thing. He puts his thumb into Polly's eye, the eye gouge. Perfect. Exactly what the Punisher did. This is the intelligence of understanding weak points in the body. If you press hard enough, you can pop the eye. And even if you don't, when you go to gouge someone's eye, they will push you off and create distance themselves, because that is possibly permanent damage with not that much force. And it works. Polly's like, get off me, stop. And Reacher charges Polly into a post, and the shelf of sandbags collapses. It falls onto Reacher's legs. For one, how that falls and bounces, that should break his legs. He should not be able to get up after this. And then he's covered in sandbags. He shouldn't be able to breathe. This very likely should have just killed him. But Polly's good. Reacher, not so much. Polly wraps a chain around Reacher's neck while he's unconscious, pulls him up, essentially hanging him, then dips. This woke Reacher up, and he's struggling up there. He's wiggling around. The only thing he can really do here is try to pull himself up to at first relieve the pressure from the choke. This is where training comes in. Being able to master your body weight. You know, in that same vein, dialing in technique through training. It's extremely important. Having the knowledge, getting the basics down, that stuff is primary to me. But that doesn't mean that being unathletic, being weak are fine. Training is also very much necessary. It's just secondary to me to understanding the knowledge of true self-defense. Reacher pulls himself up and flips himself upside down. He's trying to pull the thing out of the wood, and he's pretty high up, and his head is facing the ground. This fall here, whenever this thing gets taken out, would be devastating. Knock him out for sure, possibly serious brain injury. I think something that may be a little smarter would be wrapping the legs up over the beam up here and possibly loosen the chains around your neck, whatever. But Reacher falls anyway. We don't see it, and then he just comes out with a rake. Polly's like, oh man. Reacher tries 2 swings, the worst attempts of everything ever, way too far away, but then Reacher clocks Polly in the face with the rake. Oh man, that's devastating. Reacher stabs Polly's leg with the rake. He pulls it out, but then Reacher wraps the rake pole over the back of Polly's neck, kneeing him in the stomach. While Polly's backing up, he elbows Reacher in the chest, but Reacher keeps holding on. But I'm not sure what he's actually going for here. I hope he knows that the carotid arteries are on the other side, dingus. They both fall over a ledge, tumble down into the ocean. That's a pretty far fall, and they both somehow survive. They land in the small gap between the rocks. That's pure luck. If they'd fallen anywhere else, boom shakalaka, they're dead. In the water, Reacher's about to get out, and then Polly grabs him by the hair, just like in The Punisher, where the head goes, the body follows. A big wave comes, sucking them underwater. They're both struggling. Reacher's about to drown. He swims up, but Polly also survived. Polly pulls him down and puts his legs over Reacher's neck. The intent here is to drown him. You know how big Polly is. He definitely has thunder thighs. Even if Reacher tried to push down and get out, he probably couldn't. And Reacher's move here is to stick his finger into Polly's previous rake wound. Polly cries out in pain. And this is part of Reacher's intelligence. He doesn't panic. He thinks, what can I do here to get out of this situation? But in a real life or death scenario, Polly might have to just tank the pain here. And it might actually fuel his anger, tightening his thighs and drowning Reacher. That's what I think would happen. Adrenaline's a crazy thing. Reacher gets free and then throat chops Polly in the water and then kicks him down. This is the magnum opus of this entire fight scene. I've been waiting for the throat chop. I've been waiting for it. The throat chop is so effective. In a life or death scenario, it's the fastest thing possible to get someone to drop. And here, Polly is already underwater. This compounds. His neck is thick, but the thorax is right there, unprotected. Polly sinks with really freaky eyes, and the fight seems over. Reacher is Christopher walking down the street, and then Polly comes out of the forest like a werewolf. Reacher's like, you gotta be kidding me. And he runs into this crib with a hanging machine gun. He grabs it, but then Polly rams into Reacher's shoulder. Polly punches Reacher in the face with the chain. That's great. Definitely devastating. Good thinking. Then Reacher hits Polly with a fire hydrant, where Polly just eats it. This dude eats metal objects for breakfast at this point. He's getting hit left and right with metal, and he's just chilling. Polly starts choking Reacher again. Reacher headbutts him, then slams a monitor across his face. He's using his environment. He's using weapons that are stronger than his fists. When was the last time Reacher punched him? It's been a second, because he's now realized the way to take this down is not through typical punching. Reacher tries to shoot at Polly. Polly grabs the barrel, wrapping it over his head, and then slamming an ammo crate in Reacher's face. Polly's in pain because the barrel burned his palm. They both charge at the machine gun, struggling for it. Then Reacher punches Polly in the torso. I don't know why you would do that. What Reacher should do here is kick to the balls again.
It's simple. Kick in the balls.
Kick at the knees, or kick at the top of the knee. There are many techniques and advantages you have as a shorter person against a taller person's legs. And Reacher only utilizes this a few times, when if you did it more, you could knock him down a lot more and get some better combos going like he was doing before. Polly punches Reacher and puts him in front of the gun. Reacher puts his hands up. I'm defeated. Polly monologues. You shouldn't have messed with me. I'm bigger and stronger. Then he pulls the trigger, and the gun explodes on him. Cuts open his throat and chest. He's doing all kinds of dying. Reacher, you might be stronger than me, but I'm smarter. That would have been pretty cold if he just let Polly die there, walk away right after that. But because it's a show, and the audience doesn't understand what happened, Reacher has to explain. He put a bullet in the barrel when Polly flung him in front of the gun, so then when Polly fired, it was plugged, and the barrel exploded backwards into him. And that's Pillar 4 for you. Reacher's sapience. Anyway, then he walks out, fight's over. What a fight. That was awesome. This guy's way bigger, way heavier, way stronger, way taller, and Reacher still wins through making the right decision and targeting weak areas. Progression of the fight tells the story of basically this entire video. Punching in strength, moves fail on Polly. He shrugs him off. Then Reacher starts finding the right targets. Back of the knee, joints, eyes. Then he stops punching almost entirely, using his environment, weapons, and specifically vulnerable areas, showing that pure strategy beats pure power. And the moveset he used to win, eye gouges, throat chops, joint attacks, environmental weapons, these are all available to anyone regardless of size. It's just a lesson to show that, yeah, even though Reacher's big, with the right strategy, he's still able to win against someone bigger. So, throughout the 4 pillars of Reacher's character, he's got his size, he's big. Before every single fight, he's always saying something stupid or counting down. The only good thing that he's done pre-fight is the silence before he totally ruins it. He's got practical close quarters combat techniques. Elbows, headbutts, palm strikes, eye gouges, joints, throat chops, all immediate, all efficient, all effective. And the last thing is his sapience, his pre-fight scanning, his situational reading, his mid-fight adaptation, using his environment. He keeps his head on a swivel, and he's constantly making adjustments to do the smartest move. So overall in this show, the fight scenes are actually excellent in their logic and practicality. Pretty much everything else about this show seems to be written by a 12-year-old living out a middle school revenge fantasy.
It's like it's not fair that you're ugly. Sometimes we gotta play the hand we're dealt.
But they coexist. The fights are worth watching for the ideas they contain, even if the lines around them are stupid. But at some point, the more you watch, the more you start to enjoy the stupidity.
I bet if there were donuts underneath it, you'd be able to flip it.
Just like frickin' Beekeeper. It's so bad, it's actually kind of good. Next video is going to be a banger, so subscribe for that. And also subscribe to my second channel, Brant on Legends. It's going to be more superhero fight scenes, and I'm super excited to start posting on there. Thank you to Nori, the Sandwich. What's your name? The Sandwich.
No way.
And Maddo for requesting Reacher in the Google form. If you have any requests for any videos, please let me know in the Google form in the description. I read it every single day. Anyway, great show, great fight scenes. New video soon. Peace.